Hey guys, it's Ems and welcome back to my reading room. Today I'm going to be telling y'all my February wrap-up and March TBR. February was not my best reading month. I didn't get a lot of 5 stars or 4 stars. I got a lot of mid books to me in my opinion. Not mid as in bad, but mid is just I didn't love them and I didn't hate them. They were just kind of in the middle. Because I feel like mid has been taken as a bad term, but it literally just means for me in the middle. It wasn't my favorite ever and it wasn't the worst ever, so take that as you will. A lot of 3 stars, maybe a couple 4. We start off pretty strong and then kind of dip from there. I didn't have a lot of time to read this month. I was very busy. So I'm just very excited to tell you about what I want to read this month in March, which will be later in the video. I read about 6 books this month, starting off with finishing the Gold Rush Ranch series and then reading some other books. I say there's 6 books on here because one of the books I sold already because it's a very popular book and I knew if I was never going to finish the series, other people would probably want to read the book. So let's get into the February wrap-up. And my Olipop. It matches. Look, it matches. Ah, so cute. I'm wearing my Threaded by Sabrina cowboy merch. Speaking of my cowboy romance little hoodie, the first book I read was actually The Front Runner by Elsie Silver. I gave this one a 4.5 stars. I will give a good rating to anything Elsie Silver writes. I absolutely love all of her books. Even though this is her first series, I still love the way she writes her characters and just the way you feel when you're inside of any series she writes. It's it literally feels like home. You just it's nostalgic, it's perfect, you get all of the drama, you get all of the fixing the drama. It's just, it's so good. The dynamic between the 2 main characters in this book, Stefan and Mira, was literally chef's kiss. It was so good. They complemented each other so well, and I think that's why I ended up giving it a 0.5 with the 4. It's because it wasn't I didn't get the 5-star feeling, but just the way they were written was so perfect. I couldn't give them any less, you know? It was it had to be a 4.5. Summary I want to give y'all for this book is Stefan is hated by Mira's friend group, but Stefan needs Mira's help. Mira is a veterinarian and he needs somebody to help with his horses, and he just wants the help, he needs the help. Though in that they strike up a deal, and that deal is 3 dates. You see where it goes from there. But Mira is very nervous. She knows that her friends don't like him. She just knows that there's a lot of judgment going into it. But I think the way it's dealt with and everything that happens, and the plot twist at the end is actually, I'm thinking about it now, the plot twist at the end is crazy. It's genuinely what? How did we not see that coming? Because the conflict is just absolutely insane. And it's I actually really enjoyed the conflict because I was literally flipping through the pages bro, what's happened? I really recommend any Elsie Silver book, but the Gold Rush Ranch series has been so good, and I just even getting merch for it, I'm just in my cowboy romance era, you know? It's just so good. Sticking with the cowboy romance, ranch romance theme, we have a False Start by Elsie Silver, the last book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. It was so bittersweet finishing this book because the 2 main characters, Griffin and Nadia, are literally the embodiment of they are so good to wrap it up. The beginning to the end, they just were perfect to wrap the book, the series up. Their banter was great. It's kind of enemies, as much as enemies to lovers you can get in a romance, I'd say. Maybe headbutt, they don't get along at first type romance, but you see why they don't get along at first just when you get into it. All the friends are in this book, you're also seeing it from Nadia's point of view, who is not really, she's a lot younger than everybody else, so you're seeing it from kind of her perspective, and I'd say a bird's eye view of her just kind of getting introduced to them and figuring everything out. Same with Griffin. He's very outcasted, outsider. He doesn't really want friends. So you're seeing everybody try and welcome them, and it's very fun. Summary I will give y'all for this is Nadia is a wild child, but she finally is starting to calm down. She's growing up until she kisses this one guy at a bar. Can y'all guess who the guy is? I'll give y'all 3 seconds. That guy is Griffin. Can you guess what Griffin is? Well, Griffin is Nadia's brother Stefan, his best friend. It's a brother's best friend romance, and you kind of get the dynamic of like, what are we doing? It's like, I literally didn't know who you are. We kissed, and now I find out that we both have you're my brother's best friend, he's my brother, you know? I had such a fun time reading it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't my absolute favorite, but I loved the way everything wrapped up. And I think Billy and Violet are just absolutely my favorite, so it's hard to give higher than that just because I loved both of their stories so much, but I did really like A False Start. Sticking with cowboy romance, but we're getting more to the hockey genre, I reread Powerless by Elsie Silver because in this book there are glimpses of the Gold Rush Ranch family, and I needed more of them. And when I first read Powerless, I hadn't read the Gold Rush Ranch series yet, so I didn't get to appreciate them. I didn't get to appreciate the family dynamic from a bird's eye view and seeing everybody else see how they interact with each other. I didn't get that feeling at first, and I got to reread it, and you know your girl tabbed it. This is really my first book that I've ever tabbed. It was already a 5 stars for me, so going back into it, adding more stuff that I love, like this is like a 6-star read. Like this book is literally comfort read all the way through. It is so good, and like you can literally tell that I was tabbing everything. At points I had to like untab stuff to like move more tabs to the bottom so I could like finish tabbing it just because I didn't have enough tabs. But it is such a good book. I haven't read Chestnut Springs. This is the 3rd book. I'm not sure which book, but it is. You probably will have to read it a little later. But this is a hockey and ballet romance. Jasper Jarvis is a hockey player, but he's also been abandoned by his family, and he gets picked up by the Eaton family. And the Eatons are one of a kind. They're lovely, they are caring, and they take him in, and he becomes one of them. Where Salone, she's a ballet dancer, she does all of this stuff, and she is actually the Eaton's cousin. They are not cousins. I'm gonna let you know that now. They are not blood related. He gets taken into a family, and she's just already a part of that family. Jasper and Salone are the main characters. Salone is about to go into a marriage. She's about to get married after finally giving up Jasper after kind of being in love with him for all this time. She's giving it up, and she's getting married, but the marriage is not good. She's not gonna like it. And who other than Jasper Jarvis comes in and saves her from that wedding, and now they're trying to have to figure out what they are. What are we? Why are we still doing this? Why is it so back and forth? And then they have to go on a road trip. Just them two, a road trip. And I would say I love this book with all my heart, and I totally recommend it. I think I even talked about it in my 23 reads of 2023. I read this last year and then reread it this year, and this might have to be an every year read. The quotes in here are literally magnificent. If you ever ask me what I love in an author, it's when they can write and I can go through and want to know more. I actually have like my little light colored tabs are family tabs, so like whenever I probably pull up like this, yeah, Billy comes up. I don't want to but I literally just circled it and I said Billy because that is my girl. I literally love Billy. I love her in anything, and I want more of her. So hey, Elsie Silver, if you want to interconnect Billy into any more of your series, I will read the series just to get more glimpses of her. But Wild Love to come out, which comes out in April, and I'm so excited. I already want to pre-order. And did y'all hear that Gold Rush Ranch is actually getting new covers? A month after I read it, they're getting new covers, and it's gonna be with Bloom. So they're gonna be not similar to this, but they're gonna be like they're gonna be at Barnes & Noble, and you know I'm gonna buy them all because they're so cute. Like, I love these covers. These are like my favorite covers, but I've never been I'm gonna buy a bunch of covers girly. I will for Elsie Silver. I'm gonna buy the covers. I don't know how it's gonna fit on my shelf. I'm probably gonna have to split the shelf into Elsie Silver and Lauren Asher on a different shelf, but I'm okay with that. I will make more shelves just so I can buy all of her books. After that, we get out of our cowboy era and we go into fantasy, where I wouldn't really call this fantasy. It's more of a paranormal romance. You are getting the world building, but you're not getting like the fantasy aspect that I would call it. This is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this book a 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I know a lot of people really liked it, but I think I was also kind of slumped out when I read it. I was like tired. I was like, I just want to get through this. I'm so confused. Why are we building up so much for this to only be one book type thing? I loved the conflict. I really enjoyed seeing Misery go through and try to figure out the mystery aspect, but the romance really wasn't for me. I didn't really care about her romance with the main guy. I don't think I even remember his name. Lo? Is that his name? It's also one POV, so I literally forgot his name for like half of it, and I was really confused a lot of the time. It just wasn't a book for me. I would recommend it because I think if you like paranormal romances, this will be for you, because I've heard so many people give it 5 stars. It just wasn't for me, because my love for Ali Hazelwood's writing is really the banter and the back and forth in her STEM romances. And I think because this was such a genre switch, I wasn't ready for that yet. And it didn't end up being my favorite read. Misery is a vampire, and she's the daughter of the Vampire Council. As a young girl, she gets sent to the human world, and she's living as a human, pretending to not be a vampire, not caring about the vampires. And then one day she gets sent back because the Vampire Council asks for her, and they're like, hey, you're gonna get married. And she's like, what? And they're like, yeah, we need you to be married. She's really just being married off is what I would call it. But she's okay with it, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not okay with it. I don't know. I really love Ali Hazelwood's writing, but this one was not for me. But I would recommend it because 3 stars isn't bad. That means I enjoyed the book enough to finish it and really go through with it. The next book I read was actually ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I really did enjoy the book. I just don't think I would continue with the series because it was very graphic. And I realized that because it was an adult romance, it was going to be a lot more in detail about graphic things that I did not want to know about. I think I should have realized that before I went into it. And I'm still thinking about the series, which means I did like the book. I ended up giving it a 3 stars, but it probably is more. I really loved the fantasy aspect of it. I really enjoyed like learning about the world and stuff. It was a lot. And I don't think I was ready to take it in. Maybe one day I'll finish it, but I did end up selling the book because I know it's such a popular series and I didn't want to take away from anyone wanting to read it, but it probably is anywhere, everywhere. ACOTAR just wasn't for me, and I think that's kind of the consensus between a lot of people. It's either you really like it or you really don't, but I didn't hate it, and I didn't really love it either, just because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't feel comfortable reading, I guess. And it wasn't a bunch of bad stuff. I would check trigger warnings yourself, but it just wasn't for me, and I could say that 100 times. But I do think maybe one day I'd finish it, maybe when I'm ready. The last book I read was actually Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. I loved the little girl in here. Her dynamic was so good with the main character. It wasn't from the little girl's perspective, but seeing her go through grief through other people's eyes was just such a fun like perspective to be in, to just kind of see like, oh, this is why she's acting like that. Through the main character Aurora's perspective, it's a lot different than the main character Mike's, because Mike is her father, where Aurora is just kind of there to be there. She's just there to party. She's her ballet teacher or something, or no, not ballet. She's just her dance teacher. But in this book, I loved the dynamic between all 3 characters. The friends on the sides were also a lot of fun. I enjoyed the book for what it was, but I didn't love it, and I didn't hate it. I just kind of was like, oh, that was a good book type thing. I was just like happy to be there, happy to be in her thoughts. It was kind of fun. There were some parts of it that I was just kind of like, I don't really care. I don't know why I need to know this, but then you can get that in any book. In Canadian Boyfriend, as at a young age, Aurora meets this hockey player, and she is kind of not well liked at school. She's just kind of to herself, and to kind of get the attention of the popular people, she's like, or not to get the attention of them, to kind of get their views away from her, she's like always at dance. She grew up a dancer, so instead of telling people she was going to dance, she told people she was going to see her Canadian boyfriend. And then little Aurora didn't know that years later she would actually come face to face with the, so say, Canadian boyfriend, and she is now working for and with him. You kind of get that dynamic of her working for him and then working to help him at the same time. She at first is just teaching his daughter, and then she at one point works for him, so you really get that. You dig deep into that kind of dynamic. I don't really have much to say about this, just because it was kind of just a, hey, I found this, I'm gonna read it type book, and it's not very popular, but I would recommend it. I think a lot of people, if you really like nanny tropes and kind of working for with, I would recommend this book a lot. For my March TBR, I actually this time have most of the books because it's pretty far into March right now, kind of middle of March right now, so I hope y'all are still enjoying this video. The first book on my TBR is Game On by Sierra Glass. I'm actually 97 pages into it. I've been reading it this week, but March has been such a busy month already, and I'm hoping that I can get through it and get to other books. I'm really liking the dynamic between the two characters, and like, I haven't even really gotten into the story yet, but the beginning of it has been a lot of fun, so I'm hoping that translates. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have not read this book yet because it was a hardback, and I promised myself the first time I saw it in hardback, I have all of her books in paperback, and I looked at it and I said, I'm not buying it until it comes out in paperback, which did happen, but it took a year, and I'm really excited. I think it is such a cute cover, and I love the floppiness of it, so I'm really excited to get into it. Most of you have probably already read it. I'm probably like last to read it, but I'm really excited to get into it. And I'm not really going to give summaries of the books that I want to read since I don't really know much about them yet. The next book that I want to read is Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy. Steph Bohr actually posted a ad for it, and it totally convinced me. I had seen this last month and I almost picked it up, and then I was like, I'll wait. And then this month I saw her post and I was like, love triangle, count me in, because I'm ready to read it. And then I saw like another ad about it when I had it on my shelf already, and I was like, gosh, I need to read that. So I'm trying to get through some of my other books so I can get to this one because I'm actually really excited. The next book on my TBR is actually Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. It is a cowboy romance that is in the series with Done and Dusted. I'm not sure what the series name is, maybe I can put it on the screen, but I gave Done and Dusted, I think, a 3 stars, and it wasn't like my favorite, but I do want to give Swift and Saddled a try. I'm super excited to see how more in depth she goes into it, and I think it's one of the people, I think I liked the side character that it's gonna be. I don't really know much about what this book is about, but her covers are so gorgeous. It's like I have to read it. I have to buy the book. It has to go on my shelf. I think it's actually somewhere over there. I'm not sure. The last book on my TBR that I want to read is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is a cozy fantasy, and it's Destiny Sidwell's Book of the Month choice, and I was at Barnes and I was like, I want to pick that up, and then I picked it up, and then I actually found out later that it's her book club, like Book of the Month. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about the lighting, but I already wanted to read it, and I saw Haley Pham read it, and I know that I don't remember what she gave it, but I think she liked it, so I'm excited to try out a cozy fantasy now that I know that I'm not really a adult fantasy person. So I would like to try out this little cozy fantasy. Those are all my TBR for March. Hopefully I can get through at least some of them, if not all of them, or maybe one of them. If I don't finish Game On, unless I DNF it, please, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so bad. I want to get this book done. But I'm excited these are books that I'm actually like super excited about, so I'm hoping I can get to them. That's all for this video, so thank you guys for showing up to another wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry that this came out a little later than expected, but it's my TBR and wrap up, so I'm just gonna pretend like it's okay to post middle of March, but We'll see. If y'all enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what y'all want to read in March. If y'all have any recs or any books that y'all are wanting to read or any books that you read in February, I would love to hear that in the comments. That's really all. I'm really excited to do some more videos this month, and I really hope y'all enjoyed the vlogs from last week and the week before that. But I was happy again to do a sit-down video, so thank you for watching, and bye! See you later!